So today is what?
August 9th, 2021.
And we've just gone through COVID. We're still
Going through.
going through it, but they have relaxed some of the mask mandates. So you were able to travel down for Diane's wedding. So we're taking the opportunity to gather some stories. And one of the things I wanted to ask you was about your mother. When I read her biography, she starts it out saying she was like this tomboy. And your mom was always so prim and proper because I saw her as a school teacher. Did you ever see that tomboy peek through? What do you see your mom as?
I don't remember a tomboy.
She said she liked riding horses.
Oh, yeah, she rode horses and we lived in Rosemary. She drove the tractor for Dad on the farm.
What?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she helped with farming. I don't know that she ever milked the cows or anything like that, but she did drive the tractor until I was old enough to.
How old were you when you were?
Well, we were 12 when we left Rosemary, so I was driving it before then.
Oh, wow.
A little bit.
So now this was in Canada, Starvation Flats, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Rosemary. And wasn't your mom a school teacher there?
Yeah, she taught school for a while there until we moved out to the farm. But when we first moved there, we lived with Aunt Fontella and Uncle Johnny for a little while in a house together, and she taught in Rosemary. We lived in a little teacherage. Then we moved out the farm. She didn't teach because it was too far away.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We were 12 miles from Rosemary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, because I always wondered about the story. She had Uncle Monty in March. I know his birthday's March 17th, a March birthday. And so she was going to go and stay in town. And I always wondered, wasn't she already going to town to teach?
No, she wasn't teaching then.
Oh, okay. Well, that clarifies that. Well, so does she... sometimes when I do something, like when I talk to my grandkids or that, I hear your voice come out of my voice. Is there any time that you do something you're like, oh, that was my mother?
That's my mother. Oh, yeah.
What do you do sometimes?
I don't know now, but
you can still.
yeah,
She's been gone a long time.
she has.
What did you miss about your mom?
It's funny when they've been gone for a while, the times that you do miss them. When we lived in the Atwood house, I was downstairs in the fruit room. For some reason, Mom's not here. I don't know.
I remember your mom's fruit room. That's one of my favorite memories.
Yeah.
You know what I remember about it? I don't remember Grandma being in the fruit room.
Grandpa. And
Did I already tell you this story?
probably.
So your mom kept her dipping chocolate down there. And Grandpa Rasmussen had his tools and that in another part of the basement where he would do the carpentry and that. And I don't know if it was while we were living there or just visiting, but one day he's like, Leslie, come here. Okay. You learn when Grandpa says come here, you're like, oh yeah, there's a treat on the other end of this. Get to ride horses or something. So he opened I remember it being like an insulated door.
Probably because the room was cold. It was kept cool for...
Yeah, it was like really insulated and thick. And you opened it and you went in and it was dark. And I think it was a pole.
Probably.
Pole thing. And then there was just all these shelves filled with... What were some of the things your mom put into
Oh, she canned beans and...
I remember raspberries.
Choke cherry jelly, Saskatoons.
Oh.
I don't know if she did vegetables or not because we had the root cellar that you put your carrots and beets and potatoes in.
I do remember picking Saskatoon berries with her.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. So Grandpa says, come on. He opens the door, we go in. And he reaches up high on the shelf and he pulls down a package and opens it, and it's my grandma's dipping chocolate. And he gets out his knife. that's his pocket knife. And now as an adult, I'm going like, I know he used that on the. I don't want to think about where that knife might have been. Anyways, he carves off some of the dipping chocolate, shares it with me, and then we go out. So I have fond memories of that. And Saturday nights, they would usually send me down to get a jar of fruit. We'd have
peaches and pears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what we had.
Yeah.
A lot of times, Grandpa would just have bread and honey and milk and then fruit for dessert. Yeah.
What is a fruit room?
A fruit room is a storage room that's kept colder to keep your bottled stuff in. Or we had our flour down there. It's just like a storage room that you would have here. We had buckets of stuff too, but yeah, it was kept colder than the rest of the house.
Yeah, it was probably called a cold room.
Fruit room. We called it the fruit room.
Oh, did you?
In Rosemary, we had, I guess it would call the cellar, like we had there, but Dad had shelves that we'd put our canned goods on.
Oh.
And you'd open.
Because you didn't have electricity, so you couldn't have a fridge.
Right. But we also had off of the pump, because the water was so close to the surface, by our water pump, Dad had built a little wooden stand with shelves on it that the water would run through, so we could have our milk and butter and things in jars sitting there to keep cold.
Well, so did you eat much meat then?
Oh, yeah. But they bottled meat. I remember
Really?
one time one of the canals went dry or something, and they went and got a bunch of fish and bottled.
I don't remember eating bottled meat. Huh.
Well, I bottled a bunch of chicken one year. I remember.
Well, I remember the corn.
Yeah.
Do you remember I don't know where you guys got it. Where'd you get it from? They filled the whole back of the pickup.
Tabor area.
Corn. And we had to husk it all. We were living in the old church. And I remember being in the gym and just this huge pile of corn husks and this huge pile of...
And you don't remember the chickens when we lived there?
Oh, I do remember the chickens.
Plucked all these chickens and we put them in the tub until we broke them up and bottled them.
Well, that's not the part I remember. You know the part I remember?
Mm-hmm.
So we had raised these chickens, right?
Yeah.
From eggs, and there were ones that left had survived. But we tied their feet to the fence, and then there was a chopping block and an axe. We chopped their heads off. And I was like maybe 12. It's a little older. And that was scary enough, but one got loose. And you've heard the expression, run around like a chicken with their head chopped off. Yeah, they actually run around with their head chopped off, and there's like blood spurting everywhere, and the boys were like laughing so hard. They just thought it was amazing and funny, and I was sitting there like, I don't think this should be happening. So I remember that.
I have to tell you about a story about my mom in Rosemary. We had an attic, but you had to go outside to go and up a ladder to a door on the, where the eaves come up like this. The door was right there to go in. And Dad had some boards laid out on top of the beams. But it wasn't a regular floor. It was just boards in certain places. Well, Mom had bread on our coal stove sitting to rise. She went up there for something, went through. One leg went through. She didn't go all the way down.
Well, so I had always heard that story, but I always pictured it the Cardston house that happened.
Mm-mm.
Oh, that
was in Rosemary.
I always was checking out the roof. Man, they repaired it really well. I couldn't tell where she.
So there's sawdust and insulation all on top of the bread. Well, she had a cloth over it, so she was okay. But yeah.
So that's a good reason.
Yeah.
So when you made bread, did you use the traditional yeast?
Yeah.
Or it wasn't sourdough bread? Okay. Because I want to learn
Done
more
by
about
hand.
Like, that's good if you don't have carpal tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so what are some other... I'm interested in the traditional ways of making food before refrigeration. So what are some other ways that you... Like, did you make sauerkraut? That wasn't really your family. She was British. I mean, English.
Yeah. No, I don't remember making sauerkraut. Sauerkraut, I remember, is when we lived in the basement suite before Brett was born. And we had to go up the stairs, and it was a little Ukraine lady whose house the basement we were renting. She had sauerkraut in the next room, and I had morning sickness, and you had to go up those stairs with that sauerkraut.
So what were some favorite things that your mom made that you liked?
We made sour cream cookies and chocolate cake with sour cream.
Is that because did you have dairy cows?
We had a cow. Yeah, we had cows. Cows and chickens, and did we have pigs? I think so. And horses.
So you lived from the money you earned from the farm?
We didn't make a lot of money on the farm. That's why we finally left. We raised our own. Dad always had a great big garden. Mm-hmm. We'd bottle and store in this root cellar. And the meat that
I remember Grandma Ruth sending me down the root cellar
in the garage.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So when I was growing up, they didn't have a garage. So I remember plugging in the vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was so cold that the vehicles wouldn't start in the morning if they weren't plugged in. So Grandpa finally made a garage and a root cellar for people who don't know.
He had a root cellar on the southwest corner by the garden before he built the garage.
Okay.
We had one there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Grandma Ruth sent me down there, and I'm like, okay, adventure, go down there. She said, I need some carrots. And I'm like, okay. And I held up some, and I'm like, oh, Grandma, I'm sorry, your carrots are spoiled. You won't be able to use this. And she looked at me, because I held up this carrot, and it had started to sprout, and it had it was so misshapen, these huge roots growing off. Oh, no, I'll just scrub it up and eat it. And I'm like, oh, you guys are so tough.
You want a story about going down Grandma Bivens' root cellar?
Yeah.
Salamanders.
What?
Well, we had them in the Wolford Church. When Kara was a baby and I had her crib underneath the window in this one room, I went in there and here's a salamander on the window above her crib. Her crib got moved away from the window, needless to say.
I don't remember. I do remember a salamander. I remember loving playing with the salamanders. But I remember it was the crickets that drove me crazy. Because you'd hear them, but you could never find them. And they chirp.
I don't remember the crickets so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're in McGrath now.
Right.
Right. And I loved McGrath. You started living in McGrath. Were you?
Mom and Dad lived in a little house on Grandpa Rasmussen's farm.
So this is your dad's dad. Right?
Yes, just south of their house. Mm-hmm. When I was born in Lethbridge, and Laverle was born in Lethbridge. We were born in St. Michael's Hospital.
So the hospital was there, but your parents were living in McGrath.
Yes.
Oh, see,
and so we lived there till I was 4, and then we moved to Rosemary. And I had several aunts and uncles that moved to Rosemary around the same time. There were a group of them that got land there.
And your grandpa got land because his dad helped dig the irrigation ditch, correct?
I don't know how he got the land, but probably he did. Yeah. The Rasmussens were the first people to settle in McGrath when they came to do the irrigation.
They have a fight with who's the first. One guy says, "Well, I'm the first person," and they said, "Well, they're the first family."
Yeah.
So you're still living there. So my memories of McGrath growing up were going and seeing Cougar Jack at the parade days.
All right.
So what were some of the things we did parade days?
We had reunions at Grandpa and Grandma's house, but I don't.
Was that why everyone was there? Because they had a reunion?
The 24th of July was when McGrath had their parades.
Okay.
And yeah, the Rasmussens all put floats in or horses, because my grandpa trained horses, and he had a sled that he would give all the town kids rides in the wintertime. And then he had buggies or surreys that he would give rides in the summertime.
So the story that I remember is we were at the parade day, and Grandpa, your dad, gave me a ride behind the horse, and I was showing off for a boy over on the side. Look, no hands. Just when him and his brother decided to have a horse race, and I tumbled off backwards and scraped up my forehead, and I had a big scar for a long time.
Remember that?
And the same day, Keston, they had been doing a barbecue, and they just put the hot coals on, and Keston ran across the hot coals and burned up the bottom of his feet. And I just remember thinking, oh, mom sure didn't have fun that day. But
I remember that.
I remember your dad's, your grandpa's garden. I remember the carrots, and he had raspberries.
The story that Autumn really liked is my grandma had, their driveway went around in a circle in front of their house. I don't know if you ever saw pictures of their house. It was a barn. It had originally been a barn.
So
That's
whose
been
house?
torn down, my grandpa's.
Okay.
And the house has been torn down now.
It's Cougar Jack's house.
Yeah,
Right?
Cougar Jacks. But anyway, Grandma had flowers, all kinds of flowers. She was really flower laden. She had a lot of hollyhocks. And she'd take the hollyhock flower and a pea and a straight pin and put it on and make a flower girl for us. When I told Autumn that, she was so intrigued. So that's why she has a hollyhock quilt. She found a pattern when she was in Utah before she was married that had hollyhocks around the barn. Well, the barn part was just a rectangle, just a plain, and then flowers pieced around it. So I took that pattern and made a barn and embroidered and silk ribbon embroidered hollyhocks and flowers around it, and then did this quilt. And then just before I got it finished, she got a king-size bed. So I had to add another border to make it fit. But yeah, she's got that quilt.
And she put that quilt in.
Oh yeah, she put it in a fair in Snowflake, and we happened to go there once, and she took me to this quilt show, and I go around the corner. I said, "Oh, somebody else had my pattern. It was my quilt, and I have a ribbon." Yeah, it was. What was it?
I know it was a good ribbon.
Yeah, it was a good ribbon. I still have it hanging on my wall.
You know what I remember from the basement in your dad's place was he had a whole bunch of the ribbons that he had earned from fairs.
He would take his buggy in the fair, and him and Grandpa Rasmussen chariot raced in different places. But he had a lot of ribbons and trophies from taking his horses and buggy in the parades and stuff.
So if you or Dad and Grandpa are both racing, who wins?
You know, I don't remember. You'd have to ask the boys that one.
Okay.
I don't remember who won. But yeah.
So they get ribbons just for being in a parade, or for like the nicest horses, or what kind
For
Showmanship,
and best team or best,
different things that he'd won.
Yeah. And the Rasmussens, we often put a float after. One year, all of us had different colored Western shirts. Like ours was a light blue. Mm-hmm. And Monty's was red or something. And I have a picture of Mom. We did Mom kind of a peasant blouse to match Dad's shirt that was in burgundy.
Oh, that's the one where they're up in the tree?
That's the one where they're up in the tree. So each family had a different color shirt and put a float in the parade. And I don't remember if we ever won, but we did different things like that throughout the time.
Parades were always a big thing.
I have a reunion quilt that I made that once we started doing t-shirts at our reunions, I kept them. And so I have this reunion quilt that I have some of the t-shirts. I have some of that plaid from when we made Mom's shirt and mine. One year we did neckerchiefs, different colored. I have one of those on it, and pictures of the different things. So that's quite the quilt.
That was really amazing, watching all that.
I finally got it quilted.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, so will you tell us a story of what happened in Rosemary when you were a little girl? That's still.
I was 6, and my cousin had come to visit, and she had these new sandals.
What's her name?
I think it was Colleen Bevins.
Okay.
And you know what an irrigation shovel looks like? It's got the rounded, pointed, sharp end, because when you're digging irrigation ditches, you have to be able to move the dirt. Well, I had dads and I was going like this. Mom says, you're going to cut your toe, you should put that away. Well, did I listen? No. I cut my toe. And one of Dad's cousins who lived there at the time had been a medic or something in the army during the war. And so he got it and wrapped it all up and everything. And I had to go to school in a slipper because the shoe wouldn't fit. So, of course, I got teased a lot. That's why I'm shy. No. Yeah. That's why that toe looks like that. Because I didn't mind my mom.
Did you say mom or mum?
Mom.
Well, where'd I get mum from?
I don't know. Where did Shalana get mommy? She calls
she's
me
the
mommy.
littlest. She's the youngest. So what do you remember from when I was... I'm really curious. Breton was born before me, a year before me.
Mm-hmm.
You and Dad are the oldest. You're the first married. Dad comes from family of 10. You have 6 plus foster children. And you're looking forward to this pregnancy with Breton. Tell me what happened. Were you expecting any problems?
No. He had hyaline membrane, which is a disease of the lung. And as my director of nursing said after he was born and passed away, that they didn't know which caused the death, whether it was the hyaline membrane that caused them to die or what. They didn't know at that time. But shortly after that, Kennedy's had a baby, but they saved him by giving him cortisone shots.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh, so you were actually pregnant with Breton while you were in nursing, right?
Finishing up my nursing, yep. So, yeah, I had morning sickness. I didn't dare go to my graduation banquet. I did go across stage, but I didn't go to the banquet because morning sickness too bad. And I'd go to work, chucking.
Didn't they require you to live in at the hospital? What was...
The
you were married.
The last 6 months of my training was the first year that we were allowed to get married, the last 6 months of nursing. So 2 of us got married in April.
Oh, before that they wouldn't even
Before
let
that you couldn't, no.
And
So
then,
anybody that got married dropped out of nursing.
so when you went into labor with Breton, it was how early?
He was 2 months early.
Oh, that early.
Mm-hmm.
That must.
I mean, he
been
was 4
scary.
pounds and something, though. I mean, he was a big baby. And they've saved a lot, less weight than that. But, yeah.
How do you make it through hard times like that?
One day at a time.
'Cause,
One day at a time.
Okay. Because now, just thinking now, I just like, my heart just breaks for you. And you weren't living near your mom.
We were living in Lethbridge.
But that's an hour away.
I know. And they didn't let me hold him. I never held him. So when you came along, the nurse that was there had trained a year behind me, and she made sure I held you.
Oh.
Because she knew.
Oh, it was her that made sure you...
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't let husbands in the room at the time.
The only one your dad was in with was Tyron, because Sister Gallup, who's a friend of ours from teenage years, was a nursing aide there. And she said, well, come on in. He says, she dressed him up, sent him in.
Dressed them up. Oh, they made them all...
Gown and, yep.
Okay.
Gown and mask.
And now they don't do...
No.
So, when I came along, and I was a girl, was Dad disappointed?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
Till now.
And Breton looked like your dad.
Oh, really?
He did. He looked like your dad.
Okay.
Yeah. More than any of the other kids have.
I'll be so excited to meet him. I called my first son Breton after him.
Yeah.
So, looking back, do you have any advice for me?
I don't give advice.
I'm a grandma.
I don't give advice.
That's the best advice I've ever gotten. And do you want to bear your testimony? No, you were going to say something. What?
I just listen. Your dad keeps saying something about talking to your kids each time and giving advice. I said, I don't give advice. I just listen. They can sort their own problems out.
I keep feeling responsible for all the decisions that my kids are making, and
they're adults.
there's a course that I'm going through, and it's trying to teach me, no, they have agency. You don't get
That's
to
right.
make their decisions.
Yeah, you can maybe suggest something, but no.
So, your parents were members, your grandparents, your great-grandparents were all members.
But
Was there-
Wilford Woodruff. And I'm not sure where on the Rasmussen side.
Quite far back. So, was there any time ever that you ever wondered or doubted if the church was true?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time when you remember getting your testimony?
Not particularly, no.
It's just
Just grew up in the church, and that's what you do.
Do you
so.
have any memories of when you were married? You were married in the Cartston Temple?
Mm-hmm. We were married at night because Grandpa had been away at school in Toronto. So I don't know why we chose night. I have no idea now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we came out and it was snowing. And we went up to Grandpa and Grandma's for Dorothy and Clifford's for lunch. And then we had a reception the next night.
Okay, blues, because I had the same colors.
Yeah. And one of our friends, who was your dad's best man, Delbert Gallup, was a hairdresser. So he did my hair. And we were supposed to go to Coaldale to get pictures, because that's where I had my nursing pictures taken, and he did a really good job. Well, we never made it. Too much going on that day. We never made it. And so when we went, then I went to Toronto with your dad on the train, and we had pictures taken there. So the pictures that you see are taken in Toronto, and that was not my bouquet. That was a fake bouquet that the photographer had.
I've never heard this.
Yeah.
No, that was your honeymoon, right?
That was our honeymoon.
Okay.
Yeah. In Toronto, I was there for, I think, 3 weeks. We went over to Niagara Falls. And of course, I had the worst headache. So I couldn't enjoy the falls that much. But your dad would go to school during the day.
I was going to say, how did you afford a 3-week honeymoon in Toronto?
We were at a hotel there, yeah. People were very, very friendly. We'd go to church. Yeah, I'd curl my hair. I had long hair, and I'd curl it Sunday morning. By the time we got over to church, it was so humid, it was straight.
So, but you said Dad was going to school?
Mm-hmm. He was going to meteorology school.
Oh, and that was over there.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the people were very, very friendly. There was a couple, I can't remember their name now, that had us for dinner one Sunday. And they drank Postum because they had been coffee drinkers before, so it's Postum.
I like Postum.
And then he put me on the train to go back home because I still had to finish nursing. And he supposedly would be sent up north to work. After his meteorology school, they would, well, he says he had enough money for rent or the train home, so he followed me home on the train. So then we got the apartment in Lethbridge, and he worked at Ellison's flour mill for a while until he got that job with Retail Credit Union. He was making big bucks, $1,000 a month, and that was good money. We had such a good Christmas that first Christmas that we would, I don't know if it was 12 days before or what, but every day we'd open one present. Was
that the one where he was like an investigator?
Investigator, yeah.
He He didn't like that job, though.
No, he didn't like that.
Yeah. He didn't
But
like
then-
prying into people's business.
Yeah, he didn't like, because you had to go ask the neighbors about their neighbors. He didn't like doing that. So then when my brother Dave went to BYU and was enjoying it, he decided he was going to BYU. So after Leslie was born, do you remember the story about when we lived in the little house that we lived in well, when we first got married, we lived in a basement apartment with the sauerkraut. No, that was in Lethbridge.
Okay.
And then we moved into, after Brett was born, we moved into the upstairs of a house, paid $90 a month. In the basement, we paid $50. We were paying $90 a month, and there was somebody else in the basement. And then after you were born, we went to the little white house in Welling.
It's still there, right?
It's still there. We paid $35 a month. So I've often wondered what they're charging for rent there now.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where the year that we had that snowstorm in May.
Oh, it's in the newspaper in my baby book, but I don't know about it.
Yeah, the snowstorm was so bad that people couldn't even get home from Lethbridge. They ended up at the Hutterite colony or wherever. And your dad made it home for some reason. He worked in Lethbridge. And the neighbors that we were renting from next door, he had, I don't remember the medical condition he had, but I often had to go give him a shot of morphine, pain medication. And I went over in snowshoes after that blizzard, just across the way to give him his shot. And then that June we moved to Provo.
Mm.
And that's where we lost our 2 dogs.
Oh.
Your dad's boss had given us a whippet, which is a miniature greyhound. And we put it in a show or something. But I was pregnant with you and morning sickness, but I let the dog out. And he was running around out in the field. Next thing I know, somebody's knocking at my door that somebody had hit it. They had watched the people swerve off onto the shoulder to hit the dog. So I was out there, and my grandparents, Grandpa and Grandma Rasmussen, came by, and we took the dog into the vet, but it was gone. But I also had a Cocker Spaniel that got hit there, too.
I wonder how different my life would have been if I'd grown up for 15 years with a whippet.
Yeah, there you go.
You've had a lot of animals over the years.
Yeah.
A lot of animals died over the years.
Yeah, the Bizige.
Oh, yeah, that was good. Snooky?
Snooky is Autumn's dog, right?
No, I thought Snooky was the
Bizige?
the barkless one.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I remember. I could be wrong.
I don't remember. We also had a Cocker Spaniel then, too.
Mm-hmm. I remember that one.
And you don't remember Cece?
Mm-mm.
Because you were too little. We got the poodle, the little black poodle we took from Provo up to Fort St. John. We stopped at the Dairy Queen, and we all got in. We got home. She was gone. She must have jumped out when we opened the door or something. Yeah.
And I remember ring and tip.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a girl and a boy. Because girls wear rings and boys tip their hat. So, most of the years that I remember were growing up in Cardston. I remember looking out the window at school or walking to school. Anywhere you walk, that temple just dominates. How do you feel about the temple?
Out of my mom's window, living room and kitchen window, you saw the temple. So if you were washing dishes, you saw the temple. Walk to school, past the temple. Yep. Major part of growing up.
That's when I kind of miss Grandma and Grandpa's, when I look at the temple pictures.
Yep.
So you don't like talking about your feelings, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Tell me about Jesus.
What about him?
What do you think about him?
He's our older brother. You know I don't like talking about my feelings.
I know.
So I'm not.
I never felt like you had to tell me your testimony because I saw you live your testimony. Every time I turned around, you were making something for someone or bringing someone something, or I never saw you turn down a calling. You always had a church calling that you were not concerned about what someone else was thinking about. It was always just, well, this is what you do when you serve in the church, because this is...
I must have somehow instilled that into you kids, because I remember the first talk that Shalana was asked to give in Bakersfield when she was a young adult. And she'd never give a talk in primary or anything. And so when, I can't remember his name, remember the bishopric anyway, he called and asked her, and I said, what'd you tell him? She says, what could I tell him? You told us we have to. And it's the same thing been recently when she had to give a talk.
Well, and you never complained about the talk.
I don't remember ever saying, hey, you have to take.
No, it was never that. It was always just, well, of course, this is what we're going to do. The only one that I remember giving you having a little grief over is when you were Relief Society president, and just the paperwork you did was...
I did turn down a calling, really. Yeah. They asked me to be a primary pianist, and I said, you must have the wrong prince. It was Suzanne.
Oh.
I don't play the piano.
Yeah. I tried that excuse for the primary chorister. They said, no one watches anyways. Ha, they do. The little kids watch you like a hawk.
Yeah.
So I had to really learn to be open about, oh man, I messed up. I tell them, what should I do? Sister Neville forgot the words. Should I run crying from the room, or should I try again? You know what they always told me? Try again, Sister Neville, try again. I was like, one of these days they're going to tell me I can leave. That was one of the funnest callings I ever had. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you were... I remember for one Mother's Day, I wrote a thing. I have no idea what computer it ended up on. I wrote about how you're good at speaking all love languages, because you would give us gifts that were individualized to us, and you would give us words of affirmation. You always spoke kindly to us, and service. And...
Oh, come on. I hollered at you a lot. You don't remember that?
No. I remember Dad yelling. I don't remember you yelling at us.
And poor Keston.
Keston deserved Deborah. I mean...
No, he didn't.
No. He's turned into quite an awesome brother. I actually always really enjoyed hanging around him. And he had such the funny sense of humor, man. He could get us laughing so hard. But yeah, I had a good childhood. I always felt like my childhood was a mixture of the Brady Bunch and Little House on the Prairie. It's just best of both worlds. I got TV and animals and horses. So thanks, Mom. I love you.
Turn it off.
Okay.